Hey, what's going on? Vinny Melkus again. I wanted to bring up bait that is responsible for a number of large fish, like approaching double digits in places that we're not supposed to have them. And it's kind of an off-the-wall one. It's something that, probably, I don't know. I've actually never seen a pro angler with it tied on. But it came, we used to call, it came from my grandfather, actually, who used to fish this a lot, and I still do, because I had one of my biggest bass on it as well, and my dad actually hit it with a net, knocked it off, but it was a giant, and I've caught a lot of other fish, good fish with it, so it's good, smallmouth, spotted bass, and largemouth bait, and it's this baby, it's the Mr. Twister Sassy Shad. And they're like, you can get it the larger size, but this one's a 3-incher. That's where I typically fish with this. And usually you put this just on, an 1/8 ounce to, depending on wind depth, a 3/8 ounce jig head. You can go with a scrounger too. I mean, that's another option of throwing this thing, but these usually are easy to find in tackle stores, typically, because, Mr. Twister's in a lot of places, and they're just not, they're just not that sought after. So like a lot of sportsmen's warehouses and stuff, places where there's a lot of walleye guys, but for, you catch a number of different species of fish, but it's awesome for bass, and it's a big fish bait, really. And I know you classify this nowadays as, I guess, a small swim bait. We used to just call it a Sassy Shad. Or, used to call them paddle tail grubs on the other end of things. But yeah, the Sassy Shad, like I said, 1/4 ounce. All you do is just make sure you get it, right, so it's flat like this with a 1/4 ounce jig head to start off. That's what I usually fish with, but 1/8 ounce to 3/8 ounce ball head. You can throw a darter. We usually use ball heads because we're fishing a lot of rock, so the cheapest ones we could possibly get, because you snag a lot with this. But you can swim it above the bottom, you can hop it, and when what the thing is about this thing is it mimics a lot, the size of threadfin shad, like a yearling threadfin shad. So it's just an excellent bait. You can get them in different colors, but we always seem to do well either on the pearlescent. There's a pearlescent color, super awesome, or this, well, I think this is a shad or natural shad. I can't remember, because I did take them right out of the bags and I put them in my own stuff. But yeah, Mr. Twister, and there's other brands that make something similar, or if they still do, you can find them. And we found that that none of them quite compare to the Mr. Twister, and it has I think you never find the same, pliability of plastic, and then also that tail on there, they're always different on the other ones. And not to say that they're good or bad, but I just feel like day in and day out, the Mr. Twister Sassy Shad is the best one. And it's one of those baits where, like, if I was trapped on a desert island, or a desert island with one lake, or near somewhere where there's fish, and I had to like survive, a 1/4 ounce jig head on one of those is it's hard to beat day in and day out. But anyway, that's a quick, just random bait, because that thing is caught in some lakes that weren't supposed to have like double-digit fish, or just large bass in general. You're talking about lakes where there's maybe 5-pounders is like a giant. We've had some fish where you can drop softballs in their mouths and whatnot. Now, when you're fishing that kind of bait, though, like on a lead head, the one thing that happens, especially when we get into this kind of type of year, it seems like when you hook them, and they come straight to the surface, they are able to use that weight a little bit as leverage and throw it. So you have to really know how to play the fish, keeping your rod tip down and kind of leading that fish around instead of allowing him to, get to that surface and get a good swing on that with the lead head. But anyway, peace. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.